Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my obsession with absolutely perfectly brown bowls. They started in 2021. Here you see normal blood. You see these round things are red blood cells. The white things are white blood cells. You see that these cells are beautifully spaced apart. This is what good blood looks like. This is my very first vaccinated patient. As you can see, it looks completely different. Thing is that this person sat 4.5 meters away from me for 1 hour and 10 minutes, and guess what happened? My blood looked exactly the same 84 hours later. Now that's when I really went on a hunt, like what is happening here? And if you look very carefully inside here, you see that this cell is filled with perfectly round balls. And in my blood sample 84 hours later, I found all these absolutely perfectly round balls. Now, I've been doing this for years, never seen this, and nothing in nature is absolutely perfectly round except for these things. So I started on my quest. Now, a lot of people say these aren't sinusites, and I do not agree. And the reason why I do not agree is here you have two examples. You see the dots inside the cells, those are sinusites. You see the color, they are the same as the cell. You see this big round thing that is absolutely perfectly round, it's a lot bigger and it has a different color. I work with a phase contrast microscope that tells me when I see a different color, I see a different chemical composition. Now, what happens is here you see the vaccine that is filled with these absolutely perfectly round balls. Now, I have changed microscopes. I'm going to show you what it looks like with this microscope. You see these balls in the corner? If you play a certain frequency, all these balls start to leave the cells and they start to form structures. These structures get bigger. As you see here, these structures are forming into graphene hydroxide, and here we see graphene oxide. And here you see a bigger version of the graphene oxide, and again, look carefully, you see the sides are all covered with absolutely perfectly round balls. Now, what are the other strange things I'm finding? Stuff like this. These are graphene ribbons with luciferase in there. That's why they're blue. The thing is that you used to be able to look at blood for days. That is not possible anymore because in a few hours, this whole sample will be taken over by these blobs. These blobs are so toxic that you are not able to look anymore because it destroys the blood. Now, what is really strange is if you wait just a little bit, you will see that these blobs start to change color and they actually start to become rainbow colored blobs. And I see this in the blood all the time. This is the latest booster, and as you can see, something has shifted. These perfectly round balls look different than normal. Like the old version, they all come together. They are self-assembling, like you see in this flower petal configuration. And just like in the old version, give it some time and they turn into blobs. Here you see what's happening, and here again, it takes over. Just like the old blobs, they turn rainbow colors and they take over the entire specimen. I have never seen anything like this before. And then I've got some questions. What is this? As I've never seen these before. These look like luciferase graphene ribbons, but they're a lot darker. Just like in the blood samples, we see graphene oxide and graphene hydroxide. Here we've got some more graphene hydroxide. Here we've got some more graphene hydroxide. And we've got a close-up. And again, you see all these perfectly round balls at the edges. And we've got some more samples. Now, this kind of structure I've never seen previously. And I would really like to know, why are there so many contaminations in this latest booster? I've seen boosters before, but never with so much contamination. If we zoom in closer, you actually see that this one has a really weird color. Weird color means different chemical composition. This one too, it's not formed the way that I usually see them. Look at this red one. This one looks so bizarre. I've never seen anything like it. And it almost looks organic, like it's a life form or something. But as you can see, the whole structure is filled with this. Now we have graphene hydroxide. Look at the edges again. All these perfectly round balls going towards that. But this one is new. Has anybody got any idea what I'm looking at? Especially because we've got all these perfectly round balls all ready to go in there, but I've never seen this one before, ever. We've got some more new forms that also are new to me. This one is graphene oxide, but it's the curly version. This one is a different version than the one we've seen before. I have never seen anything quite like it. Here you see all these little balls have gone into the structure itself, but I have never seen anything like it. This looks more crystalline. So anybody has any idea what that might be? Okay, for the last few years, I have heard a lot of people scream chips at the top of their lungs. And the only thing I'm wondering is where have these people gotten their education? Because these look exactly like cholesterol crystals. Exactly. So I'm always wondering, like, why would people say that? I, for the last few years, have been working with a set of engineers on my own machine. And that's why I know that if you just have a chip, it will not do anything. You need a lot more for that to work. But these look exactly like cholesterol crystals. So here you've got a really good example of an implantable biosensor. And as you can clearly see, that this is filled with all sorts of different hardware to make the chip work. The chip is only a small part of this whole thing. But as you can see, cholesterol plays a huge role in nanolipid particles that are linked to mRNA. Why? It needs to get its strength and its structure from cholesterol. That is why so many articles are written about the role of cholesterol components in mRNA. They've even gone so far that they are now creating synthetic cholesterol derivatives just for the mRNA vaccines. So that tells me that this cholesterol plays a huge role in this whole game. Now, what I found really interesting is in the booster, again, we're dealing with the rainbow colors. And these are a bit more profound than I usually see them, but as you've seen in the previous example, they are to be found here too. Normally, when I look at all the other boosters, they're full of these absolutely perfectly round balls, but these boosters just go straight into this gel. And I would really like to know if anybody knows what this rainbow colored gel might be. It's just like if you have oil on a road, it's got this rainbow glow. That's what this looks like to me. Then we've got these weird charts that looks like either charts of glass or charts of metals, which I also have not seen before. But then I tested rainwater. And could you please explain to me why I'm finding exactly the same thing in rainwater and why I'm getting the blobs in the rainwater? And I would be really grateful if somebody could tell me why this rainwater sample, just like the blood sample and the booster sample, is completely taken over by something that really looks like nanolipid particles. And why is luciferase graphene in rainwater? Why is there graphene oxide in rainwater? And I mean a lot of graphene oxide in rainwater. Why is that? Could somebody please explain to me while my rainwater is filled with this? Could somebody please explain to me why we have all these weird structures in our rainwater? I would be really grateful. And what is this? Can anybody tell me what this might be? I have never seen anything quite like it. This is a week later. Can anybody tell me what this might be? Why are there these glass or metal looking charts in the rainwater too? And why on God's green earth is this rainwater turning exactly the same rainbow colors as the blood and the booster. Could this be that they are literally spraying the booster vaccine all over us, which basically means that in a few years' time, Europe will not be able to produce any normal food? You know what this means? This means that the soil, the water, and the air will be fully contaminated with whatever this nonsense is. And that means that Europe will not be livable in a few years' time. That is why I'm thinking in solutions. Very first solution, you really need to do the sauna. I'm working on my own sauna systems right now that are fully plastic free. And for all who have lung problems, okay, now let's talk solutions. What I use is this tiny little nebulizer. This nebulizer I fill with 3% hydrogen peroxide. Why do I use hydrogen peroxide? Because hydrogen peroxide literally changes the chemical composition, thus leading to a few things like the loss of function and the destabilization of the membranes. And that is what I'm going for. This is not medical advice, just what I use. Now, how do I use this? I have fill this with hydrogen peroxide. This has two modes. Mode number one, I get a little bit. Mode number two, I get some more. Now, what I do is I sniff it through the nose one time, really deeply, and through the lungs one time too. I only do this one time, never more than one time. This I not only use for stuff like what they are spraying right now, I also use it when I smell the vaccine. Now, a lot of you are starting to notice that certain people and certain places have this really foul, really sweet odor that just smells so chemical. That is the smell of the vaccine. We'll make another video about that shortly, but for now, this is how I deal with that. But it also creates aldehydes, so you have got to be careful and you have got to get rid of that. The best, most effective way to do that is through the sauna. So make sure that you go into the sauna 2 to 3 times a week, because that is an absolute game changer. This stuff needs to leave your body. If it doesn't, it starts to clog up your liver. And once it gets, when you've got a clogged liver, that is the beginning of a lot of difficulty. Okay, good luck out.